And our first celebrity guest came in here on the Wheels Up jet. Flew him in all the way from
Yeah.
Ankeny, Iowa. From born and raised in the foothills of Connecticut, went to the cornfields of central Iowa, middle of nowhere. We're happy to have him. It's Andy Paneer, one of my good, longest-lasting friends of all time. Twan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, bud. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Glad it's football season. Let's get to it.
We were just saying you look like a head coach with that headset and hat
I
going.
love the look.
You
Well,
belong on the sideline.
you gotta pull the Matt Campbell where it's like
Absolutely.
to the
You want to talk about
max.
instant credibility. Instant credibility.
I think it's the 5 o'clock shadow too. I can't grow it. Otherwise, I'd look like a much more adultish person.
That is a true statement. Yep.
But speaking of Matt Campbell, that's why we flew Andy in here in the matter of Zoom calls. But yeah, Twan, heart of the rivalry, a rivalry that I feel like most of the country doesn't fully understand. But the CyHawk Trophy, and he's on the side of the good boys with the Iowa State Cyclones, living a couple miles from campus and going to school there. So, Sammy, what's the line on the game? Do you mind sharing that and we can dive into it?
Oof. I don't know.
Andy, what's the line on your game you got coming up this week?
So I believe it started off at 2.5. Iowa was favored.
I was going to guess that.
I think it's moved up to 3, but I don't think it's gotten much past that. If I were to guess right now, it's probably sitting at 3.
And what's the total? That's the question.
The total can't be that much. It's got to be like 30, 36 maybe? 35?
It is 35 and a half. Sam hit him with the, why didn't you just tell me the spread?
But it's at Iowa, correct?
That is correct. So you got to figure the pros are saying it is pretty much a pick 'em. It's just that Kinnick is probably giving them a 3-point spread. So I would think it's pretty evenly matched. Just given a little bit of credibility there to the home team. So
Have you ever been to Kinnick?
I have. I went in 2012. It was a 9-6 barn burner. High octane offense. The good guys came away with the win with a Jake Knott tipped interception at the end of the game. So
Ooh.
1 for 1 on my trips over to Iowa City.
Love it.
What was the other one?
It was just 1 for 1.
No, 1 for 1, not one
Oh,
and
I
one.
thought you said one and one. Yeah. No, I was going to say, it's like, we're not going to talk about that. But no, I mean, the 9-6, 12 years ago, so not much has changed when it comes to these two teams showing off.
No, it's always...
Are we expecting fireworks this year around?
People seem to think it's going to be another slugfest of a game, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit more high scoring than it has been in the past. I think the way Iowa's offense is trending, and also Iowa State's offense, I think there's going to be more points put up in this game than there previously has been done. But the problem is you have two head coaches that just want to suck the life out of a game and just ball control. Neither wanting to make a mistake and just waiting for the other one to make that mistake. So it could go either way, but my gut feelings tell me that we're going to get like a 30-24 type ball game.
Ooh.
A shootout.
Hammer the over, doing the over.
Iowa scored, 23 points last week? That's a record.
But Ferentz wasn't on the sideline.
Yeah, so the joke going around was that Kirk Ferentz's wife texted the interim head coach at halftime and said, "The old man's asleep. You can open it up now." They ended up scoring like 34 points in the second half. So
I think it's hilarious that of all coaches with all this NIL and transfer portal and all the chaos that is football, little old Kirk Ferentz, they're like, "Hey, you overstepped. You messed up, man.
they're
You're
so
suspended.
bad at cheating that they got caught.
No game for you." But hey, I mean, I saw a stat. I think they had like 3 touchdowns by their wide receivers in the second half of their first game, and they had 2 all of last season.
Yeah,
so that is pretty insane.
There's one thing about Iowa football that does not scare you, and that is their wide receivers. I mean,
Yes, their defense is always top notch, but everything else is very weak. But they always match up to you guys very well. Are you optimistic though? You taking the points, obviously.
Yeah, I think we're optimistic that going back to the head coach, I think Matt Campbell has gotten a tendency of trying to out Iowa in this game, and I don't understand why he wants to do that, but he always seems to want to beat them at their own game. And historically, Paul Rhodes didn't do that great at Iowa State, but he always beat Iowa. And the reason he did that is he spread the ball out, use your playmakers and try to beat this defense, rather than just trying to run it right up the middle, right into their strength. And hopefully with the new offensive coordinator, Taylor Mauser, he's kind of has an MO of a more of an aggressive type play caller. So as you can see, the first play of the game for Iowa State this year, they dropped back and threw 50 yards and then a 20-yard pass play after that for a touchdown in less than 40 seconds. So hopefully they can open it up a little bit and try to move that defense around rather than running it up the gut like they've tried the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'm rather intrigued on this game selfishly for myself. I have two futures bets. I've got Iowa winning 10 games this year, but I also have Iowa State at plus 1,000 for the Big 12. So
let's go.
Obviously, this is a non-conference game, but
it's wide open.
It is. Anybody can win the Big 12 this year. Well, maybe a half of the league can win the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, 16-team league. That's 8 teams. I mean,
and they're one of them, I think.
But yeah, I was going to say the reason that we got Andy as our first esteemed guest here is because he listened to our, week 0 or whatever show we did, and he verbally scathed me for picking Kansas State to win the Big 12. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know you were paying attention to this little pod we had going on. So I was like, come on board.
How's the outlook for the year?
Yeah, what are you thinking about the Big 12 as a whole?
I think the Big 12 is wide open, as you said. I mean, I think Utah is clearly the best team, but that's just based off experience. We'll see them coming into a new conference. I know under Cal Whittingham, they've done it twice already before that, so he's got that experience. But we'll see how they do, with that week in, week out grind. I think, the Pac-12 last year, I think there were some upper-level teams that were really, really good, but I think part of their schedule, they, could able to take weeks off. And in the Big 12, I don't know if they're going to have that luxury. There's no high-end team, but I think, other than, a Cincinnati, Houston, I don't think there's going to be anybody that's you can just look towards next week, the week following, and just look over those teams. So
yeah,
I think Utah is clearly the favorite. K-State, I'm not as sold on. Everybody seems to be all over Avery Johnson, but he had one good half and then the bowl game, and people are touting him for the Heisman, and I just don't. I'm wait and see there. We'll see, but Chris Steinle obviously is a very good coach, and and then there's just Kansas. Who knows? Jaden Daniels could get hurt, and then that's their season's down the drains. But yeah, I mean, it could be literally half the conference that could win it. It's going to come down to that last week in November to decide the two teams that go to the Big 12 championship game, I think.
It's amazing hearing your talk and your knowledge makes me realize how little I know about the Big 12 compared to other conferences. It's just crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's America's conference. I think it's going to be the most exciting conference this year, just with the parity. From a week in, week out basis, it's going to be ups and downs. It's just going to be fun to watch. So I'm really excited for this Big 12 season.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing, too, is, yeah, I don't really necessarily agree America's conference, but I think that's kind of, that's the Iowa shaded glasses you're wearing there. But I was going to say the only other question I had for you, Twan, but going back to, obviously, you've been in Iowa now for over a decade, or probably decade and a half. We have our little rivalries, or Penn State obviously has their, battles with Ohio State and Michigan, even though they view each other as their own rivals, but those are the games we get up for. We have other pesky teams that we like to fight off, like the Marylands and the Rutgers. But how is it being in the heart of Iowa and every single year having this matchup early on and always having to battle your neighbors over it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great rivalry. It's different than most because you're in two different conferences. So, a lot of those big, Michigan, Ohio State, those type of rivalries are within the same conference. So what throws this game that's different is it's so early in the year. Neither team really knows who they are yet, knows what they're capable of. It just makes it for exciting, but it also makes it super nerve-wracking from both fan bases because, you don't really know what to expect. You know, both of these teams tend to be much better teams in November than they are in, say, September. But they just always seem to trend upward. So it just adds that angst, I think, to the second week of the season because, you know, in all reality, this game doesn't mean all that much because the goal is to win the Big 12. But it's just for bragging rights, you know, people in the office, you know, see him wearing a Hawkeye shirt and you giving them crap there. But, you know, it's just, it's
Well,
not
that's
the biggest game.
of college football in a nutshell, right? It's not it doesn't really affect our lives in the day to day. It's all about bragging rights, and if you get to you know, talk to your friends and say, hey, my team's better than yours this year.
That's right. And but what's interesting about this year is talking about the playoff is the perception of the Big 12. And obviously your game last week with West Virginia and Penn State, I think that was important for the Big 12 to showcase that they were, you know, could compete with the big high level teams. And, you know, of course, I don't think West Virginia is all that great. So it wasn't the best opportunity, but, you know, with that primetime window and, you know, was hoping they could pull it out. And then this week, you know, with our game, I think it's another great opportunity for the Big 12 to show it can compete with the larger conferences, especially with this being on the 2:30 window primetime CBS game. So if the Big 12 wants to get two teams into the playoff, have a chance, we got to win this game. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even if West Virginia is on, let's say, the bottom half of the conference, they put up a good fight, but then also if you're looking at other teams in the Big 12, Arizona's offense scary, and then other teams could definitely put up a fight against these top 5, top 10 teams as well. I don't think we've already asked this, but if outside of Iowa State, who would you predict to win the Big 12?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, I would probably go Oklahoma State just because I think
Ollie
Gundy
Gordon.
is. So yeah, Ollie Gordon's a stud. Alan Bowman's like 28 years old, however old
He is. He's like another Brandon Whedon.
I don't know. I just trust Gundy to kind of make those adjustments. I mean, after the Iowa State Oklahoma State game last year, Gundy made a huge turnaround in his season and decided to run the ball more with Ollie Gordon, and then look how the rest of their season turned out, and they ended up making it to the Big 12 championship game. There's something about that experience that I just trust with Gundy, and he's got an experienced roster there, so I would take Oklahoma State.
Love it.
Let's go. What do we got next? Anybody, any other good questions for our esteemed colleague here?
One thing I will note about the CyHawk game is Iowa State's best linebacker. It sounds like might have had a season-ending injury.
Brutal.
In the first quarter. We're already kind of thin at that position, so looking at the game, I'm a little concerned about Iowa State's run defense.
Is it possibly not season-ending, or is there a chance he comes back?
There is a slight chance he comes back, but the MO of Matt Campbell is saying somebody's day-to-day, and they could literally be dead. So
He don't give him anything.
we have no idea if Caleb Bacon is alive.
Deceased.
So
That's wild.
We'll
That's
see.
a very
Should be
hockey
a good
thing.
one. Yeah, it
Well,
definitely is.
Look for Iowa State. We typically play a 3-3-5 defense. John Heacock, our defense coordinator, kind of created that defense years ago, and teams have kind of replicated it. But look for Iowa State to maybe push into like a 4-2-5 type defense in this game, just to help with the depth at linebacker. So just an interesting nugget for you guys.
I like it.
There you
I
go.
like it.
Sammy, what do we got next?
I thought it'd be fun to play another round of over-unders. That game we played, I think it was on our Week 0 episode, maybe Week 1, where I'm going to give y'all 4 different sets of stats, and you guess over-under. And if there's a tie, I do have a tiebreaker this time. It's going to be sort of like if you're in March Madness and the tiebreaker is like, oh, the total of the game's 160 or whatever. Whoever's closest is the
Now, are
the
all
winner,
these numbers for all of college football, or are they from some random arbitrary date in like mid-2004?
I fact checked a lot more than that other time.
Great
So
job.
That did come to mind though, so thank you for pointing that out.
Just like keeping you on your toes.
Alrighty, so with the trend of Andy being on board, first question: 4,000 yards over under Iowa State's career leading receiver,
Ooh.
all time.
Andy, you have to go last because I feel like you may know it just off the top of your head. You probably
That's
give me,
true.
probably give me like his hometown and like his parents' middle name.
This player I didn't even know went to Iowa State, but everyone will know it.
But career over under?
Career receiving yards over under 4,000.
I think that's a spot on line. I'm going to go slightly under. I want to say it's like 3,700.
I'm going under as well.
And can I guess who it is too? I'll let Andy guess.
You can, yes.
I'm gonna throw out there before Andy speaks. I'll probably be wrong. Alan Lazard.
Well done.
That's
well done.
good.
All right, Andy, what's your guess? Over under?
I'm going to say he's slightly under because he had some
33-60.
I was
Nice.
gonna say he had some other studs with like Hakeem Butler and stuff there too, so he wasn't a one-man show. But
I wanted to do like a passing one, but literally everyone is Brock Purdy. Maybe most of them are Brock Purdy. So I, for one, didn't know he went there. So that's education for me. But so everyone got that one right there. So 1-0.
All right.
250 yards, the single game rushing record for a quarterback. 250 yards.
Of all FBS?
All of FBS, all time, over under.
Oh, not just Iowa State.
No, that was the only Iowa State question.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm going to go over because I think one of those service academy guys ran wild for like
I'm going over as well. Yeah.
so 250.
Yep.
I'm going to say under.
Over. All of the career stats were Naval Academy guys, McCoo. Khalil Tate, Arizona quarterback.
The most
2017.
flash in the pan
Arizona
quarterback of all time.
327 yards.
He had like a 1 month stretch where he was like
God.
Kyler Murray and Johnny Football melded into one, and
Yeah.
then just completely faded into non-existence.
He had Kyler Murray on his shoulders.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is that Rich Rod or was that Kevin Sumlin?
That's a good question. I want to say it was the end of Rich Rod's
I
tenure.
think it was, yeah.
Because I think that's what made him bad is when Rich Rod left and he got bottled back up. But what a run he was on. He was like everybody's Heisman dark horse for like a week, and then we're like, oh wait, he's not doing anything anymore.
All right, we'll stick with single game rushing yards for a running back or any player. 450 yards, all time record.
I'm going to go over as well.
Just say single game rushing.
Single game rushing record, 450 yards.
I think I'll let Andy go because I've been going first.
I'm going to take the over.
Yep.
I'm taking under because I want to say is it still Samaje Perine with like 430?
It is Samaje Perine, 427.
Yeah, nailed it.
That's unbelievable.
Well, you know, the only reason anybody knows who Samaje Perine is because 1 week after Melvin Gordon broke like a 20-year record, because he went out and he went like for like 425 and beat LT's record, and then the next week or like 2 weeks later, Perine did it in like again Oklahoma versus I don't know who it was. I hope it wasn't Iowa State, Andy.
No,
That was,
And it's like no, leave me out of this. It wasn't us.
I mean, Samaje Perine, well, actually, I think didn't he just get waived? But he's been in the league ever since, so that's pretty disrespectful to him. If he's listening, I'm sorry.
He's
but,
obviously a phenomenal player, but like with a single game performance like that,
Right,
you'd expect
right,
him to
right.
be like an Adrian Peterson or something.
if I remember right, he was like the backup that year.
I think so. I don't think.
I think that's right. I feel like Starter
just
was
sums
maybe
up his
hurt or
career.
something, and he just went crazy.
He's
exactly.
always been the backup.
All right, last one. Longest active bowl game drought, 9 years.
Ooh. Well, I know isn't Nebraska on a 9-game bolus?
Six. This is their 7th, I believe.
Wow,
Okay.
that's stunning for them.
So who did I?
I'm tempted to say a team like Vanderbilt.
I was just gonna say Vanderbilt.
So is that over? Are you saying?
Oh wait, no, sorry, you're going I was guessing the team. My bad. So you're saying
Game.
over under 9. Then yeah, I'll say under. I think 9's way too long. I think we would have heard about it.
I'll go under. I think I'll go under.
I'm taking the over. I think there's one team that's just had a
Over
rough
11 years, UMass.
Oh, well,
A
you
minute
didn't tell
max.
me UMass was part of the
Well,
equation.
fun fact, they joined the FBS in 2012. So for the
They have never.
they have never
Never
gotten a bowl
made
game.
Wow, that's a bummer.
But the
Even with Andy Isabella and Victor Cruz. Actually, I think Victor Cruz was playing before they
Mount
made the jump.
Union.
The who?
He played for Mount Union.
yeah,
Didn't he?
no, that's that.
No, that's Pierre
That's
Pierre
Pierre
Garçon.
Garçon.
Oh, yeah, Pierre Garçon.
Pierre
Yep.
Garçon.
Yeah.
But there were 4 teams at 11, and last year UNLV, UL Monroe, and Texas State were all on that streak, and they made a bowl last year.
Wow. Just leaving
UNLV and
UNLV.
Texas State are solid this year.
Yeah. UNLV
good to
took
know.
it to Houston. My goodness.
All right, so who won?
I
Think
think-
Miku?
Didn't Maku and Andy each get 3?
I'm giving myself a bonus point because I got some.
Let's just say that.
All right,
Let's say they tied.
we'll play the tiebreaker. I was all over the yard stats. The closest to the record number of single game passing yards historical or all time, whatever. Closest number wins.
So we're guessing the career leader. What, his
Single
number?
game passing
Oh,
yards.
single game passing. Gotcha. All right, Andy, I'll follow you.
I'm going to say like 624.
It's definitely like 7. I'll say 724. Keep it interesting.
734.
Nailed it. Is it?
Say-
It's either Case Keenum, Baker Mayfield, or Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes is one of them, and in the same year, Connor Halliday from Washington State did the
Yeah.
same exact amount of yards. How
That's
about that?
wild.
So,
Mike Leach with the air raid.
well, congrats, Maku. Good dub.
Thank you. I love it. But yeah, pleasure joining us, Andy. I really appreciate you making the time and hopping on. Soon to be father of 3. I think still as of this hour, father of 2, but that could
That's
change
right.
any minute.
Yeah, we're less than 24 hours away. So
Wow.
Wow.
And he's carving out time to join
And
the three
dedication.
on a podcast.
priorities, right?
Yep. You're going to
Wow.
be wearing that exact attire when the new baby comes into this world.
Probably all the way through
cyclone.
Saturday.
Well,
I love-
we still have the mega parlay to do, and
Of
then
course.
we're done.
Yeah.
Andy, do you have some picks ready for us?
Yeah, I think I picked 2 games that I was kind of
Perfect.
thinking
Well,
great.
this will be a mega parlay.
See, Andy's not on the Iowa State team, so he can make bets legally.
Is that as long as they catch me legally? I guess.
Exactly.
He has no affiliation. Let's just make that clear.
Exactly. All right, start us up then, Twan.
Okay, so I'm gonna take Nebraska to cover the 7.5 against Colorado.
Ooh, okay.
Love that. We
I-
talked about that earlier. That's gonna be a great game.
That
It's
is
gonna
gonna
be
be
a
a
very
great
good
game. Old Big 12 matchup.
Yep.
I just don't feel like Colorado has it. I don't think they fixed their issues on the offensive line. I think they're gonna have trouble keeping Sanders upright, and their defense I still don't have any faith in. So, give me Nebraska at home to cover the 7.5.
Should be fun. What's the other one?
The other one that I considered was the Baylor Utah game that's this weekend. Big 12 game that is not a Big 12 game. I'm gonna take Utah I'm gonna take the over points in this one. I think they're just gonna go absolutely wild.
Love it.
Utah's gonna make a statement. Dave Aranda, I think, is kind of on his way out. I just don't see Baylor putting up a fight in this one, especially in Salt Lake. So I think the over under was like 56, something like that. Give me the
Oh,
over.
there you go. I may have had a very old line. I had 53.5, so if it's gone up that much, you may be onto something. But no, I
Sharp.
agree. I think Utah is gonna run that game, and I think I kind of hope that Baylor can put up points like their olden days, like we said earlier. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Utah's the still kind of one of the crown jewels there.
Let's see K-State can pull out a win at Tulane too. That's kind of the other one I was kind of eyeing. Um,
I love it.
Super fan Chris.
Yeah. Also rock chalk.
Obviously.
Pick any Midwestern school you got Creighton up there.
And he's fuming inside.
You still picked Iowa State to win the Big 12, so I can't be that mad.
There you go. I was going to say, going back quickly to Iowa State and Iowa, that game, I want to take that total 35.5 and then go up to Chicago, Northwestern Duke 37.5, and just combine those in a little teaser action and get those. I'm going to take a bunch of like big games like USC and Ole Miss and Oregon and have them, kind of squeeze the totals down like, I don't know, 12 or 13 points, and then just make those teams have to score a couple touchdowns, and that'll be it. So pretty easy.
We should take an alternate line on that Iowa State. Just have the over at 50.
I was going to
really
say,
rake
the
it
way
in.
Andy's talking about it, we may be in for some fireworks there.
That's what I'm saying.
Plus
Good game.
1,500.
And then
Included
the
in the parlay.
only other one I wanted to mention, I think Ole Miss is going to be my new team because USC let me down last week with they didn't even come close to going over in that LSU game, but props to them for getting the win. But Ole Miss is going to be my new team putting up points because Lane Kiffin does not care at all about anybody's feelings except for his own and his own quarterback. So they may score. They have 63.5 versus Middle Tennessee, who, playing on college football myself, I know is not a very good defensive team. So they're not going to slow them down at all. They're going up. Ole Miss is going to put up 50 or 55. Middle Tennessee will do the rest. So I want that over, and then that one's absolutely a lock for me.
And I know, speaking of Lane Kiffin, he's not on Coca-Cola's good side, so if Coke's looking for another place to put their product, we can't, no free ads, but come on over.
No, the whole spirit of this podcast, Chris, is free ads. We're going to give out as many free ads until they tell us to stop promoting their product. Apple iPhone, check it out. Very good.
They're like, guys, this is causing a negative on our brand. We need to stop this.
To go.
All right, so 2 from me. Kentucky -10 against South Carolina. South Carolina's a team that I'm down on. I have them under 5.5 for the season, actually. Was really hoping Old Dominion would pull that out. Old Dominion outgained South Carolina last week. That box score. Obviously, they only won by 4 to begin with. That was a rough showing for South Carolina. They got problems at quarterback. I think Kentucky can handle them. The other one, I already mentioned Arkansas State, but I can't include that in our group parlay. So instead, I'm going to go with something even crazier. South Florida plus 31 against Bama. We are pro Bulls here. Go Bulls. 31. I think USF. We're all high on them going into this year. Alabama still, extremely talented, obviously. But 31's a lot of points. Obviously, if it was at home, I think they're getting Miami a few weeks later at home. I like this game. I think South Florida can keep it semi-close, 3-4 touchdowns,
Right.
and cover that.
Nobody's saying South Florida's going to win the game, but they can keep it within 30.
No. Sam's like, I've already got them plus 25,000.
All right, well, 2 for me. Texas -5.5 at Michigan. We talked about it earlier. I think they win by a touchdown. Duke Northwestern, Maku, it's funny you bring it up. Under 36. I like that. Duke scored 23 points against Elon last week, strugglingly. I think they had like 10 at halftime. And didn't let up any points against Elon. But Northwestern, it's at their outdoor soccer stadium, basically, on the water. So that's an automatic under.
Their little play
so
place
excited
on the
for
lake.
that one. So I think
That's
that
amazing.
could be a 10-7 game, I think is what my score prediction is there. So excited for a low-scoring punt battle there.
Did we say Oregon Boise over? Did we say that one?
We
I
did
have
not,
not
but we
today.
can
I
pile
like-
it on.
I like
that's-
that over, and I also very
Let's
quickly.
swap that in for my South Florida. I love the Bulls, go Bulls, but I think I feel better about that.
I agree with that. Because Ashton Ginty, obviously, as we talked about, going to go off again a little bit. Probably not 6 touchdowns, but he should get, at least 1 or 2. But then I think Oregon's going to wake up as well from last week. I think they were saving some stuff first versus Idaho for the Boise matchup.
Love it.
Well, once we win our millions, we will spread it out amongst the four of us and
Exactly.
move on to the next week.
Welcome to the piece of the pie, Andy. And thank you for making the time and joining us. It was great to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
The invite's open to all other friends of the program and guests. If you want to pop on and represent your team and, kind of just chop it up with the boys, feel free.
Here we go.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Best of luck to the family there. Thank you for setting
Yes.
out the dedication. So appreciate it.
Let's win this parlay and set he or she up with generational wealth.
Exactly. That's the dream right there.
That's
All
the
right.
dream. That's
Yeah.
the dream.
Coach Paneer, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Later, boys.